Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Everseen here. Today's video is going to be about my top 3 build picks. Anytime I'm starting over in hardcore solo self-found, I've played these builds in past leagues, and some of them I haven't gotten to the end stages, but I've done like a T16 map showcase in each of them, and I'm going to kind of highlight a few things about each build that's really nice and kind of suits hardcore solo self-found. So for the first build, it's going to be the Boneshatter Juggernaut. Although a lot of people play Boneshatter Slayer, I don't prefer leeching builds because I've been subject to disconnecting before, and disconnecting while you're leeching, you're just insta-dead. So I prefer to be a bit more tanky, a little more forgiving to get out of scary situations. The Juggernaut's really nice because you get the elemental mitigation from its ascendancy. You can easily get like 85 max res on fire and then like 80, 82 max res on cold and lightning. So you get a lot of elemental mitigation, and we stack a lot of armor on a build like this. And I usually go for the node Iron Reflexes, which you can actually use like Jade Flasks and stuff. I believe that's one for evasion, and you can just stack a ton of armor. And the more armor you have, the more elemental mitigation you have on a Juggernaut. And the nice thing too is you can also go for full spell suppression in the late game stage of Bonehshatter. You just need the helmet, the gloves, and the boots all to have evasion, and also the armor piece. We go for a hybrid chest piece because we want to like basically double dip on taking Iron Reflexes, but we also want that spell suppression node on the tree, which gives 15% spell suppression if all of your pieces of gear have evasion. So this works really nice, and you can get the Juggernaut insanely tanky, and it's more forgiving of a playstyle than the Slayer, in my opinion. And as you can see too, like, you just shred maps. Packs just blow up instantly. If a rare doesn't blow up with the pack, all you gotta do is drop some totems, you have increased attack speed and damage, and you just go to town. And then you can also pop, you know, your Berserk to get even more attack speed, and the only thing you really got to watch out for is just not to kill yourself. But there's transfigured gems you can use too, where, you know, the trauma doesn't do as much damage to your character, so you can go that route if you prefer. But I usually just use the classic Boneshatter, and this build is insanely cheap. It's probably the cheapest build in the game to get off the ground and running. Hardcore solo self-found is kind of a mode where you need to have a really strong build for not that much investment, and this takes the cake. 10 out of 10 build, in my opinion. Alrighty, so this is the RF Chieftain, Righteous Fire. This is a newer build that I've been playing with Chieftain. I really like the elemental mitigation you get. You can get 90 max res pretty easy, and just needing to only get fire resistance makes it so that you can open up suffixes on your gear like crazy. Like, you can get a lot of better suffixes than just resistance rolls, which was what, you know, you have to do on every other ascendancy. But, you know, Chieftain's okay. It's really good at mapping. It's really good clear. Just because of Hinakora's Death Fury, it gives a ton of quality of life clear, just the explosions. But, you know, bossing, it's not great. RF got kind of nerfed in 3.23. So, you know, you need to invest quite a bit to get the single target. And for solo self-found, it's not really something that I think it's worth doing. I did play this build in Affliction League because of the juicing and stuff. Like, you could benefit from the explosions. The only thing was you destroyed the spires when you didn't really want to. But overall, it was like really good for blasting maps and kind of progressing. But when I had to do Exarch and Eater and stuff, like, you know, I just didn't have the damage. So I'd give this build like a 7 out of 10. If you're newer to hardcore, I would totally recommend doing Righteous Fire. Probably the Chieftain. Inquisitor's a little more complicated, so I would definitely go for the Chieftain. I mean, you're gonna map like crazy. You're gonna blow up packs. It's gonna be a fun time. The only thing is you just kill bosses slower. That's all. But yeah, 7 out of 10. It's overall a good build. So my final choice is gonna be the Summon Raging Spirit Guardian. This build is probably one of the easiest leveling experiences ever. I actually played this build in Sanctum before the Guardian rework, so this was before the Sentinel, and then I think I played it in Ancestor League. I league started it, and it was crazy. Like, the Sentinel does an insane amount of damage. He'll carry you up to red maps, basically hold your hand. You don't need any damage to get to red maps. And he also is like a defensive layer. He gives, 20% of damage from hits go to his life before yours, so that's huge. And then the other ascendancy point, Unwavering Stance, is really good because it can give you a level 25 aura, and it's a damage aura. It's Wrath, Anger, or Hatred. So all your SRS will benefit from that. We have 3 Spectres with the build. We get the Gorillas from Act 2, which give Frenzy charges, and then I believe it's Act 6 or 7, I can't remember which one it is, but you get the Power Charge ones. So pretty much you're stacking Frenzy and Power charges on each SRS. Each one of them can get, the maximum amount of Power charges and Frenzy charges, so it's just an insane amount of speed and then damage. So you're basically scaling crit, which there's not a lot of sources of crit for minions in the game. There's some on the tree, and we take it because we do want the SRS to crit a lot. But yeah, this build's insane. Like, the survivability is also really good. We get lots of block chance. In the late game, you're gonna get, spell suppression. You have this Sentinel that takes hits before you, and you can get, physical to elemental mitigation. You can get some more max res. I'm not sure exactly what's efficient to get. Maybe like 80 max res all if you're really high investment. But overall, this build is a 10 out of 10 league start, and you can see YouTubers doing it. Like, Subtractem has a guide on it. I can't remember really who else, but this build has been, crazy. Like, just Summon Raging Spirits has been really good for a long time. A lot of people discovered, the Poison variant in the league before Sanctum, and then it was Crucible, and then Sanctum League, it got really big. Doing the Poison variant, it kind of died off a bit, and then you started seeing people do more just fire hit based Guardian builds, because Guardian has a lot of survivability built in, and then they reworked the Ascendancy and made it way more survivable. So this build is just 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Like, really good build. And if you're newer to hardcore, it's nice because minions can kind of taunt enemies for you. You don't get hit as often because the minions are fighting the enemies essentially. So yeah, guys, that's about it. I can link some guides in the description of other people who have played these builds and do them really well. I mean, Karn, for one, is a really good Boneshatter player. Pohx is like the godfather of Righteous Fire, and he's going to do Chieftain. He actually did it in Affliction as well, but he's going to do it in Acropolis League, I see. And Subtractem has a really good SRS guide, and I think Zizaran played SRS Guardian, like, league starting for Affliction League. So, like, a lot of people are playing these builds, and it's not just the newer players, it's also, like, the veteran players, because these builds are just kind of cracked. They do a lot of damage, have a ton of survivability, and it's kind of a no-brainer. But yeah, anybody who's new to hardcore, I would totally recommend using these builds. Or, there's other builds too, like there's the Caustic Arrow Pathfinder, which is also like a really tanky hardcore build. I know, like, a lot of people play Detonate Dead Elementalist. I've never played it. I don't really know much about the build, but I see a lot of people playing it, so I'm assuming it's really good. I mean, Ben played it as well, like the famous racer, right? So it must be good. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. I mean, I'll link my PoE profile down in the description as well if you want to take a look at my characters. The only one that's really decent is the RF one, because it was like my best character for Sanctum League, and I just like ran him through Labyrinth and got him switched over to Chieftain real quick. But like the Boneshatter character, not the greatest. I mean, it's like level 95, average gear, it doesn't have spell suppression, whatever. Like, there's a lot more min-maxing and a lot more ways to make the character better. And the SRS character is only like level 85, because honestly, I was playing Ancestor League and I kind of just didn't like the league, so I just stopped playing. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. If maybe you got some ideas, then that's great, and if you're looking at starting hardcore, that's cool too. Yeah, so I appreciate, like, all the love on my last couple videos. It's awesome. I really didn't expect it to go that well so quickly, but I'm just gonna keep making videos, and if they get love, cool. If they don't, that's cool too. But anyways, guys, if you can like and subscribe and all that good stuff, I really appreciate it. Helps me out a lot, helps the channel out. But I'll catch you in the next one. Later.